to kind of wrap up and get into the first topic. Sam, let's start with your topic. What are you bringing us today?
I am bringing all things Apple today. The new iPhone 6S Plus.
You
Oh,
got
I thought you were
started
talking
on it.
about.
This is not actually a 6S
I'm
Plus,
like,
but this is
what?
exactly what it will look like.
Yeah, this is. It's true. It's true.
So about like a week and a half, close to 2 weeks ago now, the Apple keynote came out, and being the Apple fanboy that I am, seeing as how we have not gotten a chance to talk about it, and that the iPhone now comes out within 4 days of us talking about this live. Oh yeah, Hunter Pence gnome.
Hunter Pence gnome. Isn't that
Nice.
awesome?
Kind of want my
The
own.
new Apple app.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that could be an Apple app. Gnomify yourself. That'd be pretty cool. So I guess a lot of stuff came out. I'd like
Absolute
to
copyright nerdy nights on that.
hear
gnome app.
how other people think about it, and kind of just maybe, I'm excited. I have two on pre-order. By that, because I couldn't decide what size I wanted.
So you're gonna give me one, essentially, is what you're saying.
By give, you mean let you buy? Yes. So the things they announced in no particular order were Watch OS 2, which is basically the new Apple Watch OS, along with different flavors and different
I
shades of.
still can't figure out why I would want an Apple Watch.
And it's not for you.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't
All right.
need-
End of story. There we go.
I can't figure out why people need to upgrade from phone to phone every once a year, but
Because it's cool. No, it's actually interesting because, so I've been shopping around since I got this plan, because one of the big things Apple announced was the new Apple upgrade plan, which is
Yeah, that
basically
was really cool.
yeah. So basically, what they're doing is no interest financing on a phone plus Apple Care for 24 months. At the end of 12 months, you can upgrade, and it just resets your clock. You're back on another 24-month cycle. So for the average person, when you really think about what you're doing, they're basically saying, buy one from us, we'll give you no interest financing, and at the end of 12 months, we'll guarantee to buy it back for a specific price, is pretty much what they're saying. Which, I did the math based on what Gazelle.com is offering right now, and if you're getting the bigger size, you actually net ahead about $50 to $60. But basically, it's their way of saying fuck you to all of the carriers, and saying, hey, you don't need to buy your phone from T-Mobile and get locked in a contract, even though T-Mobile doesn't have contracts, or AT&T or anything like that. And so, but the cool part is now there's competition. So T-Mobile tried to get a lower plan. So I went over to T-Mobile and I was like, hey, how's all of this gonna work? Are you guys gonna come up with something? Or
Wait, you use T-Mobile?
no, I'm an AT&T customer.
Oh, I was about to say, I didn't know people still use T-Mobile. We've got no coverage on the West Coast.
Yeah, honestly,
West Coast.
my entire mindset is if I switch to T-Mobile, I'll just suck up bad coverage where I live for better coverage elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
and abroad.
The abroad thing is what's really cool about T-Mobile. But continue.
So T-Mobile's hey, we have two different plans. If you want phones from us, you can buy this phone and it's going to cost you this much. Or you can do our Jump Ahead program. I don't know if it's Jump Ahead. But basically, they have a program to let you upgrade your phone 3 times every year. 3 times. You just be like, hey, I'm sick of this phone. Take it back. Give me another phone.
Do people do that?
Apparently there's enough demand that they created an entire plan for it.
So I could buy 3 phones a year without having to sign up for a new contract, essentially.
You don't buy them. So basically what happens is...
So it's a leasing kind of thing?
Yeah, you get this phone and you're like, all right, the new Samsung 6 Edge came out. I want to use that. So you're like, you hand them back this phone, they give you the 6 Edge. And there's a price differential based on the cost of the phone.
Okay.
But to Kenny's point, yeah, apparently people don't just upgrade once every year. They feel the need to upgrade 3 times a year, which is just beyond I upgrade once a year, and I think it's a lot. They're upgrading.
So that plan for upgrading the phone every year, you're signing up for that.
Yeah, I mean, basically because of the reasons I've said. Like it's basically saying at the end of a year, I don't need to like go out and Craigslist my phone. Like the great part is, let's say the phone is worth that much the next year. I could go Craigslist it, use it to pay off the balance of the old phone, and just sign up for a new plan. Like it's just an interest-free loan. There's nothing else about it. So I think it's like really good for people who want the option to upgrade, but they don't have to take the option if they don't want to, and they'll never be locked into a carrier. And your phone is unlocked wherever you go, which anyone who's traveled internationally knows, like, it's just really handy.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
If you're on T-Mobile, it's even better because you got data and stuff for free.
Right.
But, just having a phone with you abroad is kind of nice, especially if you get lost.
Well, it looks like a bunch of people in chat, Sam, are not like you. They're like me. They only upgrade once every 2 years because that's what TJG and Agent Hardwire do.
This is actually a really interesting thing because Lifehacker put up a post where they talked about like the differential cost between upgrading every year, every 2 years, every 3 years.
Okay.
And basically, and of course, this assumes that you sell your phone for prevailing market rates at the end of a year if you're upgrading every year or every 2 years. Oh. The differential between every year and every 2 years, if you do that, is like $30.
Oh, really?
We're basically paying $30 over the course of 2 years to stay completely current with your phone. Is that a lot? No. Like, is the hassle worth it? I mean, like, your mileage will vary on that depending on your options. But, there is this inconvenience component. So the best part is, like, Apple's making it convenient for people who would normally find it inconvenient. The other thing that's kind of cool about this, and this is like the business geek side of me talking, is essentially what they've done is they've like artificially lowered the gray market price for iPhones. So after 1 year, because people can just upgrade on their own and they don't need to sell and do all this stuff, like the theoretical price of second-party iPhones should drop because more people just buy it from Apple.
Right.
Which is actually like amazing because, I mean, I don't know of one company who has like a very active secondary market for their products that isn't like, man, I'd like to get some of that second party action. Like anywhere from like show tickets to like sports tickets to like magic cards, like anything collectible. That's how it works.
You know why they're doing it though, right? They're doing it because other people are starting to make phones that can compete with Apple. So they're trying to find a new edge on why people can buy a phone.
Innovate anymore. They're just catching up with what other phones are doing. They do it better than the other phones typically do it, but they are in a constant game of catch up. It seems but
they're not always doing it better. I mean, have you played it all with the Note? Is it the new Note that's out? The Samsung.
Yeah, I've actually played with the Galaxy Note. Is that the one you're talking about?
I believe so. The one that just came out. The 5. I really is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So
it is. Have you using that pen on that screen is awesome. The way that it interacts with it interacts pretty much just like paper. You can write with your finger as well. I mean,
it's super handy. I mean, like, to be honest, I took a 1 year hiatus from Apple, and I used a Note 3 and an S5 during that time. And the Note 3 was really cool because I could be like, I'd meet Ben somewhat like, out and about. And I'm like, hey, what's your number? Like, I don't have to open an app and put his number in. I can literally pull out the stylus, open a note, write the number, and then like later, the number will just get interpreted. My handwriting will get interpreted and create a contact. Like, it's nifty. How often I used it?
I think. I mean, if I had that, I mean, I have a iPhone 6, which I love. It's fine. But I mean, I also don't feel the need to go to
So I'm curious
right now.
I'm curious from the chat because someone's mentioning how he doesn't have the patience to change every year because he customizes too heavily, and changing every year would drive him up a wall. My question is, are you on Android? Because on Apple, it's not difficult. You just download and everything's back. But no,
that's why I would argue I wouldn't want to upgrade every year. I mean, even if you're only paying $30 more, that's $30 to save, and nothing's really changing.
Well, so I find the S upgrades to be silly. Like I have, I love the 6, but I don't see enough of a difference between the 6 and the 6S to say, other than Force Touch, to say I can't wait a year for this.
3D Touch.
No.
So I'll tell you why I'm upgrading, and not just because I'm like a total fanboy nut who needs to upgrade every year.
Because you're definitely not one of those, right?
Not one of those. I definitely have not owned every single new iPhone within 24 hours of launch except for the 5S. That's not me. So one of the big points that they introduced with the 6S is they're putting a new camera on it. So this is the first step in megapixels that Apple's made.
That camera is amazing. Like,
and
I can't believe that that's on a phone. That the sensor on the phone is better than the sensor on my first DSLR.
Yeah, I mean, like, and so Ben and I are like camera people, right? And the thing is, Apple's thing was, I'm not going to introduce a higher megapixel camera unless I'm not going to lower quality. Because the 8 megapixel camera on the iPhone is still better than like the 13 megapixel camera on your S.
Because megapixels don't necessarily matter.
No, and that's exactly the point.
Yeah.
And like everyone was like, oh, 8 megapixels, that's stupid. And you're like, no, that has almost nothing to do with it. Like, there's still
try taking a picture in a low lit room with your 13 megapixel camera.
Exactly.
The noise on that is going to be insane.
Yeah. So now we're at a 12 megapixel camera, which has cool performance. There's some stuff that limits chromatic aberration, which most people don't understand. So whatever.
The thing is, the iPhone figures out how to make it look like a real picture.
Yep. And 4K video.
Yeah, so the issue I see with 4K video is storage, though.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna shoot a 5-minute video, and then all of a sudden it's gonna be like, oh, I have no more space.
So the thing I really like is these like live photos, which I don't know like how well they're gonna work.
Really cool. Like record your own GIF. Yeah.
So basically, what's happening is, and I want to see the file size for this, is every time you take a picture on your iPhone, if you have the live photo feature turned on, you're going to record like.
I believe they said it was double, Sam, on the file size. It's double the picture one.
So it's a couple seconds before, a couple seconds after it's going to record, which allows you to both play it back, but they also said you're going to get full res single frame shots of each picture. So it's not they're going to record video. They're going to give you 2 seconds of full picture quality for your image, whatever, right?
See, and the iPhone 7 will do that too, and it'll probably do it better.
Yeah, and apparently, like the way they're going to do it with the compression, which is why the 2x is so cool. Because when you think about it, like let's say it's 30 FPS for 2 seconds, that's 60 pictures. Like that, what they're doing is they're only going to measure the changes between the pixel stuff, assuming that things don't change very much.
So, according to Daily Mail, the picture size is double with the live photos.
Awesome. It's going to be sick.
Yeah. We're running short on time on this topic, Sam. And there's still a bunch of stuff in this. And I really want to talk about the iPad Pro.
The iPad Pro. So to the point that Ben made earlier about like innovation, that would probably be my prime candidate for like following, being a fast or slow follower.
So they were going to say that was going to be their
it's going to be a 12.9 inch like amazing display and multiple like 4 speakers all around it. They also introduced a new keyboard, and
that comes in what? What does the keyboard come in? One of the covers.
The covers.
I lost your audio for a second, Sam. Oh, why did I lose it?
I have a Surface. You guys can hear me? No?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. I have a Surface, so I am actually considering getting an iPad Pro by selling one of my old iPads.
Why? The Surface actually runs a real operating system. Not that iOS isn't a real operating system, but like a computer grade. Yeah, it's a mobile system.
No. I agree with you, and that is the only reason I want it, because I don't know how much you've done like photo workflow in Lightroom, but Lightroom about 1.5 to 2 years ago introduced the ability to sync to mobile, and they created an iOS app to let you basically do very high-level functionality in pictures.
So when I used the Lightroom app years ago, it was garbage. It ran really slow, it was clunky, and I hated every second of using it. So is it better now?
Are you saying on iPad, or are you saying on
iPad? I used it on an iPad. I had it on the iPad too.
Here's what I learned from my experience, because I had an iPad 3 Retina, the original Retina display before they went to Lightning ports, and I had been doing it on that.
Hater, by the way, I just want everyone to know I am running this show on a Mac Mini. I have chat on my MacBook Pro here, my iPhone sitting here, and just about everything I own is Apple based. I just wish that they were more innovators like they used to be.
Yeah. So basically, I upgraded last year to an iPad Air 2, and Lightroom became amazing to use. It is fast. It is snappy. I can only imagine it getting better on iPad Pro. And my big thing there is if I can get 10 hours, let's say even if I get 6 hours of editing on an iPad Pro, like I won't get that on a Surface. I can't. It just won't happen. And I'll have to plug in an external hard drive to the Surface or create the smart previews and do all this other stuff. So for me, the workflow's not worth it. But like I'm a very niche consumer. And even like the Surface Pen. The Surface Pen isn't a Wacom tablet. The iPad Pencil is closer. And if you've seen some of the ridiculous things people do on iPads drawing, I can only imagine it getting better on a Pro.
My sister is one of those people. She was on the show when we did the cosplay episode. The shit that she shows me that she does on her iPad Mini just blow my mind. I'm like, how on earth did you do that?
It's ridiculous.
Like, just with my finger. I'm like, what? Yeah.
So it is definitely not for everyone. The price point is super prohibitive. Like, if you're looking for a mobile device that can type and do tablet features and do all this other stuff, get a fucking Surface. You'll get it. It'll be cheaper. You'll do more things with it.
Tag right there.
See, my big issue with all this stuff and with Apple and pretty much any other company lately is I just want to see something fucking new. I don't have anything to say on the Apple keynote because nothing's new. I mean, you're adding little things here and there.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, something new that isn't an app, like a hardware application for your phone. Like, I mean, I remember when iPods first came out. Like, that was so exciting to be able to use something like that, and everybody wanted one. I remember when the iPhone came out, and you can say that built off of it, but it didn't. It completely changed the landscape of cellular devices. You can even say that about the original MacBooks, and when they finally got their computer, the OS down, it's absolutely incredible. But I feel like ever since the late, talking about around 2006 to 8, they've just been riding this wave of, what can we kind of add to support these things? I'm waiting for a new front runner, a new player. I don't want to see new support devices. I want to see something new and innovative. And nobody has it right now.
Well, but see, here's the thing. I think that's where, when you look at the landscape and you think about what Apple's really innovated in and the things that they've really driven forward, that like people don't pay attention to, Apple Pay.
No, I love Apple Pay. I use it. I use it all the time.
And like it forced Google to catch up, Samsung bought products to do it, but like it's going to change how people secure their payment processors, which is fucking amazing. Considering
that's absolutely incredible. But that is again just it's
not
such
innovative enough to change all the world's baking.
I mean,
here's the thing. It's not a new device.
Because we're going a little over on time. The Apple keynote was fun. There was some really cool tech that was announced. I mean, just the tech going into the 6S that allows for the Force Touch or the 3D touching, and the tech going into the camera, and the tech that goes into the iPad Pro itself. It's all very cool, and I'm glad to see that they are listening to the consumers as far as, I mean, people have been asking for an iPad Pro for a while. I'm glad that they're making it. So it's going to be awesome to see what comes after. I mean, everyone knows that the first iteration of anything that Apple makes, the buyers of those are unofficial beta testers. So I'm going to wait for the iPad Pro 2 before I really make any huge decisions. But I do want to move on to our next topic.
Just real quick, Ben, to address one thing in the chat. Someone talked about what our opinion on the iPad Mini 4 is.
Oh.
If the iPad Mini 4 had come out last year, I would have bought it. And it's just because the iPad Mini 4 is now the iPad 2 Air spec in the mini form, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have one and you want the power, get it.
All right.
That is all.
On that note, we're talking about